In Terraria, once the wall of flesh has been defeated, hard mode begins. The hard mode unlocks a lot of new upgrades like hard mode ores, fish, crafting stations, and recipes. These upgrades are supposed to help the player to conquer new enemies and bosses. Unfortunately, I can't use almost all of those upgrades, simply because hard mode ores are explosion proof. Without the new materials and crafting stations, it seems like my run in Terraria is doomed. Or is it?
That is bullshit lazy, still my heart is lazy. If the words kill me, I don't need a new one under you. Soon you will know, we already know the smell of the game.
Hard mode welcomes me with a blood moon event, so I try to hide somewhere in my base because of my very weak armor. The wall of flesh dropped nimble laser rifle, pawn hammer, and zealous fury. The laser rifle will come in handy, however I can't make use of the pawn hammer because it's a tool. While taking a look around, I notice a weird looking slime that I have never seen before. Turns out you can pet this slime and he looks like a sophisticated gentleman. After petting my new friend, I buy some dynamite from the demolitionist and go straight to the jungle biome. I immediately pick a spot and start exploding a large area to build an arena for a battle with Plantera in the near future. While setting off explosions, I bump into the wizard. Not so long after freeing the wizard, I can't believe my luck as I loot a mechanical worm. This is one of the 3 mechanical boss summon items that initiates a battle with the mechanical bosses. You can craft these items in a hard mode anvil, but since I don't have access to this crafting station, I have a 1 in 2,500 chance of looting only one of these. In order to progress the game, I need to get all 3 of these summon items. I got so confident after looting mechanical worm item that the game decided to give me the real taste of the hard mode jungle biome as I die from a jungle creeper. Back at base, I sell all the stuff I don't need for extra cash. With my pockets full of gold coins, I build a new NPC house. I also go to the snow biome to check the happiness of my good old friend, Goblin Tinkerer. Since he is pretty happy, I can buy a pylon so I can travel around the world much faster. While exploring the surface, I find a hollow biome. I throw some dynamites to burst through the snow and ice into the underground hollow biome. While doing so, I find a frozen chest with ice skates in it. After setting off a bunch of dynamite, I finally get myself into the underground hollow biome. I pick some crystal shards and definitely not misclicking the dynamite instead of recall potion. Back at base, I open up a Terraria wiki to search how to summon a queen slime. The queen slime is a hard mode mini boss that can be summoned only in the hollow biome, and after defeating her, I can loot a crystal assassin armor. This set will give me a lot more defense points and the ability to dash horizontally. Realizing that quitting university was a mistake because now I can't read, I go... Oh my god. Realizing that quitting university was a mistake because now I can't read, I go into the crystal caves once again to look for a gelatin crystal. I find and collect a couple of them, so now I can prepare myself for Queen Slime. Back at the surface, I built additional NPC house since hard mode introduces a lot of new people. Next, I test my luck by trying to loot another mechanical summon item. However, I get another reality check as I get deleted by jungle biome enemies. At this point of the game, I have decided to build like a mage or summoner, since most of the items can be obtained by opening chests or looting enemies. With some cash earned from farming jungle foes, I buy the crystal ball from a wizard. The crystal ball is a very powerful item that gives my character 20 extra mana and empowers my magic damage. With the buff from the ball, I go to the hollow biome and summon a queen slime. The battle doesn't last very long and I fail miserably. Like, it's not even close. The queen deals way too much damage and my weapons seem like not dealing any. I will have to try looking for a different way to defeat the queen. I tried to loot a jungle biome key which gives me a new powerful weapon, but I failed. I tried to loot the key on the ground since the enemies there are easier to deal with. I failed again. Then I tried to get the bookcase which unlocks new recipes for mage items, and after failing this task once, the second time's a charm. At this point, I died so many times that I got really desperate. So here I go to the Crimson biome and farm a lot of ichor. The ichor is the material that is used to craft a golden shower, a very strong magic weapon which deals a lot of damage and inflicts a debuff that lowers enemy defense by 15. This is a massive upgrade to my current situation. After getting enough ichor and souls of night, I go near the bookcase and craft the golden shower. The grind doesn't stop there as I find the Aether biome near the edge of the world. The Aether biome lets the player transform items in the shimmer. Some of the transformed items are very useful. I transform Spell Tome into advanced combat techniques, which increases all of my NPC's defense points by 6 and attack damage by a whopping 20%. I realize that the traveling merchant has arrived. I check what he has in stock and oh boy, I couldn't get a better deal. My eyes are locked on the orange Zappinator. The orange Zappinator is a hard mode magic weapon that fires a laser beam and behaves randomly when it hits the enemy. I sell all of my scraps to buy the magic hat and a Zappinator. While chilling with my new weapon, I accidentally summoned Pirate's Boarding Event with a pirate map like a silly goose I am. I go back to my base and the battle with pirates begins. After dying like 60 times, I finally stand victorious and the pirates are going away. Defeating pirates boosts me with confidence, so I go to the hollow biome and try once again to find the queen slime. As it turns out, golden shower and a Zappinator are still not enough. I decided to put Queen Slime on a back foot for now as I go to the underworld to obtain a Hell Forge. Did you know that you can explode Hellforge and Hellstone only after defeating Wall of Flesh? I grab the forge and transform stone blocks into stone bricks. I use the stone bricks to build a sort of a cage to battle and defeat the Destroyer. The Destroyer is one of the 3 mechanical bosses that I need to conquer in order to progress the game. Later on, I craft a few buff potions to increase my chances to take down the boss, and I summon the mechanical worm. The fight is going very slowly, but I can feel that I'm going to win. However, soon a disaster happens. A wild wyvern? How do you pronounce this?
Wyvern. Pretty strange.
Wyvern, thank you very much. However, soon a disaster happens. A wild wyvern appears and I go into the panic mode, which leads me inevitably to my death. While trying to loot a new mechanical summon item, I build a bridge out of pink ice without thinking much about it. This will be important later on. Farming enemies continues as finally one of them drops a mechanical eye. The mechanical eye summons the twins, which are arguably more challenging than the Destroyer, but I will try to prepare well to fight them. What I'm looking for right now is a bunch of diamonds to craft a diamond robe. The diamond robe is the strongest gem robe in the entire game. It gives me 80 extra mana points and reduces my mana usage by 15%, which is massive considering me using Golden Shower. I figured that the easiest place to find these shiny stones is the underground crystal cave, and for the first 8 diamonds I wasn't wrong, but then it all collapsed. You see, diamonds are very rare to find, and my little monkey brain couldn't think about making a diamond gemcorn to start a farm of gem trees. No. Instead of doing that, I did loot superior ice bow from a frozen mimic and went straight to the underground desert biome. Here's where the fun begins. I figured that I can mine the fossils and then get the diamonds by extractinating those fossils. What I didn't figure out is that diamonds have 15 out of 1,000 chance of dropping from extractination. But hey, a dummy is always lucky, right? Right? Right after that disaster, I go into the caves once again. Here, I finally find 9th and 10th diamond and also a bust statue that gives me 5 defense points, which for my character is like a blessing. Back at base, I craft a diamond robe using a loom, and I also make 2 keys of light. I would love to obtain a Daedalus Stormbow, which should help me deal with the destroyer. Next up, I sell scraps to the merchant and go harvest some wood. Collecting wood ends with crafting 2 chests and putting keys of light in them, which spawns mimics. First mimic is a dud, however the second one hands me the bow I've been looking for. I take my newest weapon to the Goblin Tinkerer to get the superior reforge. While trying to loot a mechanical boss summon item, I stumble across a unicorn, which gives me an idea. I build a pink ice bridge to create an artificial hollow biome so I can farm more unicorns. Since my current mobility blows, I need a unicorn mount so I can move around much faster. This will help me a lot with the twins and the Skeletron Prime. My farming continues as during the blood moon an angry Nimbus drops a Nimbus rod with a deadly bonus. I also loot a banana rank from a clown, but since you can stack them up to 8, only 1 banana rank deals pretty much no damage. The next night I use another bloody tear and I get lucky because it's a full moon, which means that werewolves are going to spawn. The werewolves may drop a moon charm, which is an important crafting ingredient for the powerful hard mode item called Celestial Shell. This item gives a lot of hefty buffs, both to my damage and defense. I can't believe how lucky I am because not only do I loot a moon charm, I also get a mechanical worm. This time I truly want to prepare for the fight with the destroyer, so I craft some peace candles to drastically lower the enemy spawn rate. I also redesigned the cage to make sure that this time I will make it out alive. I go to the artificial hollow biome in the jungle to get the unicorn mount and maybe another mechanical summon item. As I browse through the Terraria wiki, I can see that the chance of dropping the blessed apple is 2.5%. This means I will have to defeat approximately 40 unicorns to claim my prize. To increase the spawn rate of these magical horses, I use Bloody Tear to start another Blood Moon event. After taking down 400 something pixies and 32 unicorns, I finally claim the blessed apple. With my new mount, I go straight to the Goblin Tinkerer to do some reforging. Later on, I build another sky bridge. This one is going to be a little bit lower, so the twins for sure won't get interrupted by a wyvern. I'm not done with preparations just yet, because it's time to finally get the better armor set. Following brewing some buff potions, I ride to the Hollow on the edge of the world to summon the Queen Slime. This time the battle goes my way and I can feel the difference in power compared to the last brawl. Since I need a full set of crystal assassin armor, I need to slay a whole bunch of queens. The 8th time's a charm, as I claim the last piece of a crystal assassin set, and I even get the blade staff, which is going to give a little boost to my DPS. Now that I have a staff for a summoner class, I head back to the dungeon to get a bewitching table. The bewitching table gives me a buff to my capacity of minions, so instead of having only one blade, I will have 2 blades, which basically doubles the damage of the staff. As the night begins, I chug all my potions and summon the twins. With my unicorn mount, the battle goes fairly simple because I can easily outride their range. Once again, Golden Shower is the man of the hour as it deals most of my damage. The first eye drops and now I only have to worry about the laser gun. Not too long after dropping the first twin, the second follows and I claim my prize. I take advantage of the rest of the night as I pile to the jungle biome so I can buy a pygmy necklace. The pygmy necklace is another buff to my minion capacity, so now I can summon 3 blades from my staff. I also start looking for a Plantera's bulb in the underground, but after checking pretty much all of the jungle, I open up the Terraria wiki to realize that Plantera's bulb grows only after all 3 mechanical bosses are defeated. I might as well buy 800 acres of land with all the farming I'm going to do. I take a quick break from looting the rest of the mechanical summon items by going to the Aether biome to transform a live crystal into a vital crystal. The vital crystal can be consumed only once per game, and it boosts HP regen. Later on, while building the arena for a future Plantera battle, I find a mimic that has a star cloak for me, which is a quite hefty boost to my damage. After what felt like an eternity, I can finally battle with the remaining 2 bosses. Don't ask how much time did it take me to loot these, but I will definitely not do it again. I once again drink my buff potions and summon the Destroyer. The fight goes very easy as I have no problems with the boss's probes or laser attacks. It takes a while, but eventually I take out the Destroyer. I make full use of the timer of my buffs and I immediately summon the Skeletron Prime. This one is a little bit more difficult than the mechanical worm, but the unicorn comes up huge as I can dodge a major amount of Skeletron's attacks. Following the fall of the 4 arms, the head is destroyed and the last mechanical boss is defeated. This means that now I will have access to live fruits and Plantera's bulb. Right before going to the jungle, I make a quick stop in the Crimson biome. The Crimson biome hides crimson altars on the ground. Usually, the player is destroying the altars with the pawn hammer in order to unlock the hard mode ores. However, in rare cases, you can also use the Crimson altar as a crafting station. You can't craft a lot there, but one thing that I'm excited about is the possibility of crafting a hallowed armor. The hallowed armor gives a massive upgrade to my defense, damage, and on top of that, if I strike the enemy first, I will dodge the next attack. Luckily for me, I have just enough hallowed bars from the bosses to make a full set. Back in the jungle, I look for Plantera's bulb and some live fruits. I have to really peel my eyes because these things are not very easy to notice. Unfortunately, I don't find a Plantera's bulb, however, I do find 2 live fruits. Following my exploration of the jungle, I go straight to the Aether biome, where I quickly transform Life Fruit into the Aegis Fruit. The Aegis Fruit can be consumed only once. However, it is super worth it because it gives the player permanently 4 additional points in defense. This doesn't sound like a lot, but I believe that little things can go a long way. Next up, I bombed nearly half of the jungle to finally bump into the Plantera's bulb. I actually get really close to breaking it with a dynamite, which is actually frightening. I swiftly mark the bulb with a bunch of torches so I can see the spot on the map. After brewing additional buff potions, I zoom out to have an easier battle with Plantera. I throw the bomb and immediately rush towards my arena. As you can see, the bomb went off, bulb was destroyed, but Plantera did not spawn. I figured it's because I was out of the range of the bulb. Quite some time passes as I find another bulb. I try not to make the same mistake again, so I get some dynamite and make a decently large cave for my new arena. This is me making sure that I won't have to look for another Plantera, and at this point I was a little paranoid about it. After finishing my construction, I explode the bulb and the Plantera spawns. My plan here is to just ride in circles around the boss on my unicorn so I don't get hit while dishing out as much damage as I possibly can. Since the big old plant is vulnerable to Ichor, my golden shower is perfect for this combat. As the Plantera goes to its second form, I get a little scared. However, not so long after, I take down the jungle boss and claim my prize. Now that I have a temple key from Plantera, I open the entrance and start my exploration. I can't explode the traps with my bombs, so I use the explosives to collect the pressure plates. This allows me to explore the temple easily without much worry about getting blasted with spike balls. After finding the Golem altar, I build a little runway to make my fight with the Golem less difficult than it should be. As I'm building, the solar eclipse event appears. I go back to base and start slaying my enemies. I'm trying to loot a toxic flask and a deadly sphere staff, which are 2 very strong weapons that I can use in a fight with the Golem. Unfortunately, during the whole eclipse, I'm only able to get the flask. With my toxic flask ready, I activate the altar and the Golem shows up. I run back and forth on the runway so I don't get hit by Golem's arms and the laser beams from his eyes. I switch my weapons between the toxic flask and a golden shower to maximize my damage. My hallowed armor gives me a lot of defense points, so I don't really have to be afraid to take some damage, and soon, after taking down Golem's arms, the boss is defeated. Since my buffs are still up, I summon a couple more golems to make some extra cash. I also hope to loot a Staff of Earth, which is arguably one of the strongest staffs in the game. Luckily, I obtain a few of these magic items. I start my post-Golem adventure with exploring the clouds. I build a new NPC house so the steampunker can move in here. Next up, I buy the Blendomatic, and with the stone I have, it's time to craft some asphalt. With the asphalt blocks, I start building a sort of a highway for the future battle with the Moonlord. Following the finish of the highway, I go back to the steampunker so I can make my most expensive purchase ever. That's right, I buy steampunker wings, which cost me 3 platinum coins. My wallet is never going to recover from this one. With my swaggy wings, I go near the dungeon to buff up and start fighting the Lunatic cultist. I thought that it would be a quick and easy fight. Oh boy, was I wrong again. After missing the real cultist once, the phantasm dragon appears and I can feel the cold sweat on my neck. Not only do I miss him once, I do it the second time as well, which spawns the ancient vision. I figured that I have to collect a lot more life fruits to buff up my HP. I go to the dungeon to find a hollow crate. Unfortunately, I do not find one. However, one of the skeletons drops a morning star, which is a pretty powerful whip. While flying across the world, a Martian probe appears out of nowhere, and before I can do anything, it scans my cheeks and the Martian invasion begins. I use my Staff of Earth to fight back with a great success. It dishes out an amazing amount of damage, but soon enough, the Martian saucers arrive. The Martian saucer is a hard mode mini-boss that shoots a death ray which cannot be blocked by any tile in the game. My plan here is to hide in the home with a nurse and deal damage with my whip. When the death ray of the saucers comes out, I quickly heal up with the help of my roommate. It works quite effectively, but it costs a lot of money. I feel incredibly lucky as the Martians leave me a cosmic car keys and a laser machine gun with a mythical reforge. I eat all the life fruits I found in the jungle to further increase my HP and start another 1v1 with the man in the robe. With my cosmic car, the fight is not that hard anymore because I can just fly around the boss and gun him down with my laser machine gun. I use all of my brain power to hit the right cultist, and luckily I choose the correct one every single time. As I slay the Lunatic cultist, I claim my prize and I immediately try to take care of the pillars, but I can only wish that it would be an easy task. After dying like a bajillion times, I finally crack the shield of the Stardust pillar, and following that, I absolutely shredded with the laser machine gun. Back at base, I craft a dragon staff, which is arguably the strongest summoner staff in the game. I then reforge it to a demonic level of power and head straight to take down the Nebula Pillar. Before I even try to destroy this monstrosity, I take a deep dive into the dungeon to open a crimson chest. The crimson chest holds the vampire knives, which have a lifesteal bonus. This will make my survivability go through the roof. As I expected, the knives make my time with the nebulous minions a lot easier, and right after a shield is deactivated, I gun the pillar down. I get extremely lucky as I loot a whopping 44 nebula fragments. This is more than enough to craft Nebula Blaze and a Nebula Arcanum, two very powerful magic weapons. Next up is a solar pillar, which for me is the least difficult one to destroy. I collect solar fragments and I go back to base. Before blasting the last pillar, I hop back into the caverns of the jungle to find the remaining life fruits. Since fortune doesn't favor fools, I use the metal detector and the Spelunker potion to increase the odds of getting the fruits. With my maxed out HP, I take on the Vortex Pillar. The Vortex Pillar is quite tough to take down because the enemies do have guns and they can also fly. As I get blasted, the shield of the pillar goes down, so I run back to destroy the pillar and claim my prize. The prize here is 60 seconds before the Moonlord appears. I prepare at the last minute by crafting some Stardust fragments to obtain a Stardust Cell Staff, another very powerful summoner weapon. I fly to the nurse's home and the Moonlord appears. I start the combat by spamming swirling orbs from my Nebula Arcanum. The orbs deal massive damage to the eyes of the final boss. However, I have to be very careful since I only have basic buffs and pretty weak armor. The passive of the hallowed armor saves my butt cheeks many times, as I am not the greatest in dodging Moonlord's attacks. When it comes to the death ray, I try to fly around it with my cosmic car However, I fail miserably and half of my HP is just gone. I sprint towards the nurse to heal up, go back on the runway and try to gun down the eyes. The Moonlord tries to hit me with another death ray, but this time I fly around it using my wings and I take no damage from the laser. As I'm shooting with my rifle, I realize that I've ran out of mana potions, which are mandatory in my Mage Summoner gameplay. I completely changed my playstyle by switching to Solar Eruption, which, now that I think about it, was absolutely crazy. As I take down the third eye, I sprint back to the nurse with less than 100 HP. The only thing that I can think about is to damage the heart and pray that my armor and HP regen will buy me enough time to finish the final boss. My Solar Eruption hits one last time and the Moonlord is finally defeated, proving that you can finish Terraria without using tools. This was a heck of a journey and I hope that you have enjoyed it. Thank you for the support on the last video, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time.